Record. Okay, everybody, welcome to the December call for the Planetary Magic Cafe. Thank you to both of you that are here. I've actually just put the link though in the group itself because I thought it was obvious because it was in. And yes, I used the same link as October's call because it's still, oh, Angela's here too. Cool. People are finding the link, so I've put them in. So there we go. Cool. Awesome. We're ready to rock and ready to go. So I'm actually going to share my screen. And this is, I'm just going to get rid of that chart. You're seeing somebody's chart. And we're just going to look at, this is my Astro Gold software. Okay, so I can just move back and forth between where we are now and where we got coming up in December because we've got some magical, amazing times. Really, December is kind of finishing up what has been a tremendous year of revelation, of change. We had the August the 21st eclipse, you know, the great American eclipse, which has affected us all, but especially here in the US. And we've had a big, long Saturn retrograde, and Saturn going through Sagittarius. We've had Jupiter moving into Scorpio, and we're kind of reaching a bit of a culmination right now. And some of you may have read my post this morning. Oh, I don't know why my dog is doing that. Ozzy, be quiet. Sorry, he's being a little bit of a monkey this morning. I think the energies are kind of disturbing him because we've got Mercury retrograding and the Gemini full moon building, and we're going to look at both of those. But anyway, I'm going to actually take you back to 1988 in a second when I get the chart off my phone onto the screen. Does anybody else use AirDrop? It's amazing. It just drops it onto my
somebody's looking in the coffee shop,
which is like, wow. Anyway, so here we go back to 1988, and I do want to look at this for a minute. So in 1988, Saturn was right here at 27 degrees and 49 minutes of Sagittarius, which is the point, the exact minute or solar arc minute where Saturn moved to this morning, leaving the shadow of his retrograde that started back on April the 4th. So he's breaking new ground. He's hitting a point of the chart that where he last was on October the 18th, 1988. And if you look at the time in the months after that, as Saturn moved into Capricorn and things, we had solidarity in Poland, kind of breaking up communism there. We had the fall of the Berlin Wall, the end of the Cold War, and the starting of the breaking up of the USSR. And there was more. There was the Imelda Marcos and her husband. They were charged with racketeering back then. There was all kinds of things like that. And what does that remind you of that's going on now, but in different countries? Kind of old systems being broken down and new systems being created. Nelson Mandela was released from prison too, and you know there was the ending of apartheid and all that. So we've got some big changes coming up. Oh, there's quite a few of you here now. Awesome. I mean, this will not be exactly the same as that, but I'm going to just spend a couple of minutes here before moving to where we are back to where we are today. At that time, Uranus was exactly at the same point. On this point in 1988. So for those of you old enough, I would like you to think back to the months after this date and think really what happened in your life. It was quite momentous for me, but I am moving into my second Saturn return, so I was in my first. But the changes were quite dramatic. You know, I changed my whole life back then. I gave up my party lifestyle, moved back to the UK, went to college, got my degree, got a.
Are you able to mute people, Louise? There's a lot of noise. I can barely hear you. So
Funny, but yes, I'm going to mute everybody.
Thank you.
Funny, I couldn't hear any background noise, and I usually can. But anyway, is that better, Colleen? Because it should be muted now. But anyway,
absolutely.
I went back to school. I got my first class honours degree. I just really, that's really weird that I cannot hear any background noise. Anyway, so yeah. So that was quite momentous for me, but it was momentous for the world. And because it's that same degree and Capricorn's entering that new ground after the retrograde, we're entering new ground, and this is going to initiate a lot of change. Now, also look over here. Pluto back then was at 11 degrees of Scorpio, and that's the exact same spot that Jupiter is at this weekend for all this new moon and things. So Jupiter is triggering that degree, and we've seen what Jupiter's been doing with outing all these sexual predators and the like. And believe me, there's more to come with that. But I do believe we're now into the point where, you know, these old institutions are going to fall, and we're going to start building the new ones when Saturn moves into Capricorn. So I'm going to go back to my current energies. So now everybody should be muted. Yeah, anybody new joins, they're automatically muted. So, okay. So here we are today, and you see Jupiter is at 11 degrees of Scorpio, where Pluto was back in 1988. So we are getting a lot of similar themes. Pluto is still in Capricorn. Okay. So today we moved into this new era. Okay. Now, Mercury, let's move ahead a day, is going to station right on Sunday. You're welcome. Now we need everybody muted. It's just so weird. I could not hear any background noise. Mercury is stationing retrograde. Okay. And Mercury is stationing retrograde on Sunday and conjunct Saturn. And Mercury will go back over Saturn exactly, excuse my dogs, on the 6th. This is all on the galactic center, that sun of our sun. That really is this massive new information transmitter. So if we think what Saturn and Uranus did back then, back at the end of October 2018, Mercury is the lower octave of Uranus. So he's kind of doing a similar thing to us, starting now, basically. So that's going to happen on Saturday. Then we have, Sunday. Then we have the new moon. Okay, let me go back a couple of hours. Sorry, the full moon, not new. If I say things wrong, we are entering Mercury retrograde, and Neptune, well, I'll tell you what's happening in my chart in a minute. Neptune is is squaring my moon and my Jupiter, my Gemini moon, and my Jupiter in Sagittarius. My Gemini moon is at 12 degrees, and this new moon is at 11 degrees and 40 minutes. There we go. And then we have Jupiter at 11 degrees also. And he's now only 13 solar arc minutes from where Pluto was back in 1988. So real heralding back to that time yet again, with these two still conjunct where Saturn and Uranus were back then. And Uranus now has moved over to here. And so this is trining these two, okay? And look at this other 11. We have Neptune at 11 degrees, just turned direct. How many days ago? Neptune turned direct on November the 22nd. So only 9 days ago. So he's really still, pretty much stationary, because he stays stationary he stays at his stationary degree for quite some time. So we have 11. We have 11. We have 11. We have 11. And then look at that. Mercury stations at 29 degrees, which is what? It's 2 plus 9 equals 11. So we have a major, major, major shift happening this weekend. Mercury also rules the Gemini moon, because Mercury rules Gemini. So this is a Gemini new moon full moon, I keep saying new moon, on steroids at 11 degrees. Now, 11 in numerology is a master number. It's the most intuitive of all numbers. It's instinctual, it's charismatic, it's dynamic, it's capable. When its sights are set on a concrete goal, it's about faith. It's also a gateway. Okay, so if you look at the numbers 11, 11 is a 1 and a 1. It's a gateway. Okay, so this is the Justice card in the tarot as well, and I shall look at that in a minute. But it really is just a most amazing number, and this is a most amazing full moon on Sunday. Full moons are associated with an ending, a fulfillment, but they're also new beginnings. Okay, they are really a time where we kind of finish up some stuff and dive into another thing. It's really a time where we're going to go, okay, where am I at this point? What have I fulfilled? Where do I need to go next? And Gemini itself as well, if you look at that, the twins, also kind of a gateway. So I see this as really kind of a portal. Other things to look at, we have this over here, the North Node in Leo. Where are you going to follow your heart's desire? And what is conjunct that? Ceres. Ceres is, she's just amazing in mythology. She is actually, I just wanted to read you something, but I don't have the book, so I'm not going to. Ceres was Demeter in mythology. So Ceres or Demeter, Persephone, her daughter, was kidnapped by Pluto, who's also at 17 degrees. Look at all these things matching up. And taken down into Hades and hell. And does it feel like we've been being taken down to Hades and hell for a while? We've been dealing with a lot of grief and loss over the last few years, with all the energies that are going on. And then Ceres kind of had to come to terms. She killed the harvest because she rules nature's cycles. She's the great mother. She was grieving for the loss of her daughter. But then she came to this balance of the underworld and the above world, where Persephone would spend 6 months in the underworld and 6 months in our world, basically, so that Demeter still got to be with her daughter. So how I see all of this with the two wands, this balance, you know, it's a perfectly balanced number. Gemini is the twins, the two sides. I see this time as coming into a real balancing of a time where we are balancing the shadow and the light, the masculine, the feminine, all the opposites, all the other, bringing it in to balance. Okay. Other things we have going on. Ceres is at 22 degrees. That's another master number. That's the master builder number, building the new life. Neptune squaring the full moon is just really bringing that intuition into this full moon, bringing this trust and surrender that things are going to work out, and things are going to balance, and they are going to be coming into right harmony. That's the word. But it's also a messenger. You know, and this weekend you have to spend time doodling, writing. I'm actually doing a doodling retreat, doodling what I want my heart's desire to be in 2018, what I want to bring in, how I want to feel, what I want to manifest, what I want it to look like. And then I'm going to throw it out to the universe and say, I trust you. Show me the steps, show me the signs, the messages, and tell me what I need to know to move forward in this time. Okay. So on the same day, Jupiter is trining Neptune, both of them at 11 degrees. You know, on Sunday is just monumental. If you can not do much on Sunday, but kind of just listen to the messages, please do. Spend time in meditation, shamanic journey work, whatever you do. Because with all this, with this stationing at a number at 29, which is an 11, and the last degree, with this at 11, with this at 11, with the full moon at 11, the messages are going to be profound. And this on the galactic center, this is just all quite amazing. This Sunday is going to be a day to remember. And then not to forget that this is all aspecting 28 degrees Leo, where that great American eclipse was back on August the 21st. So the Mercury retrograde Saturn galactic center conjunction is harking back to things that started to change there on that new moon, on that big eclipse. So it's another step in our process, and that we're going to get messages about how to actually really start to create what we want in 2018 based on all the revelations and transformations that have been happening in 2017. Okay. So I'm going to actually go start moving forward because I can't spend all day on or the whole call on just that one bit. So I want to move back, go forward. We have, of course, you know, all this is going to continue working us. All right, on December, I'm just going forward to the new moon in Sagittarius. We'll go forward to the new moon because, you know, we don't have many other major events happening between, as if you're going to have enough to deal with from the full moon. All right. So we're going to go forward to the new moon, which is on December the 18th. Yeah. And look where it is. Okay. I'm going to point at it in a second. I'm not going to the exact degree, minute, I mean, but the degree. We're at 26 degrees of Sagittarius, which is so close to where all this energy is happening right now. So again, it's going to trigger this. Both the moon and then the sun are going to conjunct Saturn not long after the new moon. A new moon in Sagittarius is all about the bigger vision where we're shooting our arrows for the next year. It's going to hark back to all this energy from this full moon. It's also going to hark back to that eclipse degree yet again, okay? And it's pretty much, if we're looking at major aspects and very tight aspects, it's not exactly aspecting anything, but it is squaring Chiron in Pisces, the true Christ consciousness energy, all right? It's going to bring us back to that trust and surrender place again. There's a lot of energy coming up in 2018, and it's starting now about faith and belief, a spiritual upgrade, if you like, about what we really kind of put our faith in, what we believe. We've been asked to clarify our truths in Sagittarius, but now we're being asked to build on it and build in this new faith, belief, and healing, and trusting that, you know, all is moving as it's meant to be, all right? I think I'm on the wrong screen, and I apologize. No, I'm not. No. I am. I'm actually going to stop screen and share it again. Okay. There we go. That's better. Okay, so the new moon at 26 degrees of Sagittarius is on December the 17th. Sorry, here, very late, but December the 18th for most of you in most of the rest of the world, except in California. And the aspect to Chiron is probably the strongest aspect. So it's a very healing new moon right there on December the 17th. And then the very next couple of days, we have Saturn moving into his home. Saturn moving into Capricorn on the 20th or the 19th of December here, but 20th in most parts of the world again. That is going to be fabulous for everybody. Saturn loves his home sign. If I look back to those times after, from early 1989 onwards, that was a most productive, growing up time in my life and in much of the world. We're going to be spending a lot of the time of the next 3 years. Saturn will be in Capricorn for 3 years, and he will be building these new institutions. We've been through a rough few years, and I'm not saying we're not going to have any tough transits, but we actually really do not have any major challenging transits going through 2018. And building up to 2020 is gonna, when we have like everything in Capricorn, we are going to start rebuilding our institutions and changing them. You know, that's not to say some of that's not going to be painful along the way. There's going to have to be a lot of trust, surrender, release, and healing as we move towards it. But Capricorn moving into Saturn moving into Capricorn is just gonna be tremendous. And then of course he's going to catch up with Lilith, our too muchness. Speaking of which, I'm doing my magic of too muchness retreat in Arizona in April, if anybody wants to come. Details are on my page, but this is a time of building, but the divine feminine Lilith is in there at the same time. So, you know, I could go into the other markers, but all of this has a big aspect of building something that's more equal, more egalitarian. This is not really about killer squashing men, but it is about the patriarchy changing and starting to change our institutions so that they have more divine feminine influence, which is much needed. Okay. And part of this purging of the patriarchal institutions, the media giants being fired, you know, politicians are going to fall. I can tell you that too. for sure. Their time is coming. Hollywood, influenced by Neptune in Pisces, with all our illusions being shattered about, all these people in Hollywood. This is all part of the process. It's all having to break down before it comes together. And Saturn moving into Capricorn, though, is going to ground us and start to feel that we can actually build this change. All right. And, then this couple of days afterwards, the Sun joins Saturn at the start of Capricorn. Just the day before, 2 days before Mercury turns direct. We'll talk about that in a minute. And then, so here we have the Sun, Saturn, Lilith, and Pluto all in Capricorn. And then we have Mercury going direct, okay, at 13 degrees of Sagittarius, where that full moon is this weekend, triggering that area of the chart yet again. So, the next 3 weeks, really, I'm going to say, with Mercury being retrograde, and between, this is actually conjunct what's called the Great Attractor as well. We have 3 of these greats in our universe. So we have the galactic center, where Saturn and Mercury are right now, and Mercury's turning retrograde. We have the super galactic center, which I won't talk about right now. And we have the Great Attractor, which is at 14 degrees of Sagittarius. So Mercury is triggering both of those. So Mercury is triggering messages from the universe, basically, of what we need, new information we need to rebuild this future after the Pluto-Uranus square and all the other stuff that we've had going on over the last few years. Mercury's bringing in the information that we need to move forward, okay? And his station on the Great Attractor will bring in some more messages, okay? So really look for what you need to reflect on between this Sunday and December the 23rd, just until Christmas. Because the information that's coming in this month, I cannot stress how big and how major and how important it is, okay? So looking forward to the end. Really, we're kind of almost done here, but let's look to, there you see we've got Venus going into Capricorn too. By Christmas, everything's going to feel so much more solid, so much more grounded. Yes, Mercury will still be in his shadow, but everything's just going to feel like things are finally settling down, okay? But let's go to the last day of the year. Oops. Oh, down. And then I can go to the mini reading I have to do, and then we're going to do a shamanic journey. All right. So it's not going to be the longest call. I have I decided I was going to go into way more detail, but I just want you to get this overall picture of what an amazing gateway of information and messages and opportunity we have in December to move into really what 2018 is really going to be a year of rebuilding and spiritual kind of upgrading. Okay, so here we go to the last day of the year, and we have, where's Jupiter? Here it is. So if we move back a little bit, a few hours, we'll have Jupiter exactly squaring the moon's nodes. We finish the year kind of on a turning point. There we go. I'm not going to go right back. But Jupiter squares the moon's nodes, okay? Now, the Leo North Node was conjunct that August the 21st eclipse, so anything the Leo North Node does in the coming months while he's in Leo, and every time he's aspected, it's kind of triggering that energy. But we have Mars there as well, and Jupiter, both squaring the North Node at the middle of signs, the middle of fixed signs. And what does that mean as well? Expansion and will and drive to really kind of fix things again, to make things more solid, to really follow our heart's desire, to really move away from this bad side of exceptionalism. I'm just thinking of USA when I think of that, because this USA is like, we are the greatest country in the world and we are better than everybody else. Kind of has to end, really. I'm not going to speculate about where Trump is going and things, because I think things might surprise us. But we're definitely finishing the year, the month, on a real pivot point. Okay. And just if you look actually a few hours before, I'm just going to go back just to December the 30th, probably. I'm just going to guess where we have the moon heading into all this as well, heading into this pivot point. We have the moon back at the degree it was at on this full moon, okay? And then Mars and Jupiter squaring the nodes. This is kind of really finishing up this month of moving into a more grounded time, really seeing how we can bring this more balance into our lives, how we can move from going into this extreme exceptionalism to just following our heart's desire. You know, I actually can see a shift in the world. You know, there's all this about, you know, be your unique you, and we're all absolutely unique, but sometimes it's been taken to differentiating ourselves to a further degree. We're bringing more joy and fun in coming up, so we've got that to look forward to. So does anybody have any questions before I get to the mini reading? And Heather, you're on actually. Regarding the question for the mini reading, Heather, if you can, I don't know if you can type. If not, just unmute yourself and tell me. Are you happy for me to do cards? Because it actually is telling me. What's the name of the astrological program? Oh, Todd's here. Todd, are you happy for me to do cards? Because I have got your chart details and I can look at your chart, but something about this is telling me the card. Okay, cool. Because the cards are telling me that this is what is needed. Okay. So the question was about a job, 2 jobs. Okay, both interesting opportunities. I'm not going to go into too much detail. Okay. So really, basically, it's which job. We trust you, Hottie. Okay, cool. I like that. I've been called Hottie too. And Broden, this is Astro Gold. Okay. It's actually an app on the iPhone and a program on Macs. And I hope you'll like my bindi that I didn't actually put. Astro Gold is an inexpensive, really good software. It's fabulous. I do have Solar Fire as well, but I love Astro Gold. Okay. So I'm actually going to kind of do a 3-card reading and then pull any others as needed. Oh gosh, that one again. Oh my goodness. Interesting. All right. So the first card we have for you, Mr. Todd, is the 6 of Discs. It's kind of saying you've reached a point really of success, okay? this is really where you're coming from. So you're coming from a point of success where really you can probably move to do whatever you want to do in the world. Okay. And whatever you do will be a success, I have to say. Okay. So, so this is the moon in Taurus. So I always have to look at the astrological parts with these cards. Okay. So Taurus is very much kind of about making money, but also about solidifying with your core values. That's the confusing part. Yeah, I know. Well, we're going to look at other cards. Okay. So you've got to do whatever has heart and meaning in your life. All right. Okay. But this is saying that success is through a 6-step process. So I want you to listen to the 6 steps that are on this card in this circle. You see them? Okay. So Saturn represents success through discipline and step by step. Jupiter reminds you that success is about being open and flexible to options that you have not entertained, okay, and to opportunities that present themselves. Venus reminds you that success is a result of following what has heart and meaning in your life. The moon reflects that success is attainable if you stay in your truth. And Mercury is success that says is attainable if you organize your communication so that context and timing are all aligned. And Mars says that success is attainable if you'll put consistent energy into personal and professional issues rather than expend marathon energy or inconsistent energy. Now that's kind of really where you're starting. So let's look at the next card. And this is the one I laughed at because it comes up every damn day at the moment. This is self-knowledge. Okay. And this is about personal development and manifesting who you really are in the world. It's yesterday's card. Yes, exactly. And this is actually my internal identifier for my relationship with money. And I don't know why I tell you that, because I just feel it's got a message for you in saying that. This is about, do you really, I feel the job that involves the move will bring you the most personal growth. And if that's what your heart's desire is, then you should go with it. You can fly your family out, you know. You can fly them to Florida. Maybe they'll decide to join you and live in Florida, you know. I must say, I got the intuitive hit when I read the question that Florida is the one, but it's your choice. So I'm going to go with the cards still. The next card, and I do feel we need another couple of cards, is this one. This is mastery of creative and intuitive thinking. All right. This is newly mastered creative and intuitive thinking. This is why perhaps you're having a difficult time saying, let's... Now, this was to Todd. He paid the... I verified it. Oh, cool. Oh, do you need another card? Todd paid for a mini reading, but I will do you all a card. So I want to do one more card though, Todd, because this is to me is movement and saying go for it, go for the creative. But let's do one more card to kind of verify all this. But as soon as I read the question, I was like, Florida. So this is the art card. Okay. This verifies it for me too, because this is alchemy. This is mixing all the aspects of your life and not staying stuck. This is about creating a new life, bringing in all the elements of your life. All right. And it's going to work. They're fabulous cards. Yeah. But Todd, are you complete? Because I'd say go for it. Go to Florida. Gives me tingles, and that's always a good sign. tears of joy coming here too. This is the Thoth or Thoth deck, Thoth, Colleen. To my mind, it's the best tarot deck there is. Okay. So are you and Todd complete, Heather? It's a big, definite, resounding Florida to my mind. Let's pull a card for everybody there. You are. Yay, you don't live on the coast. I worry about people. But then you're used to hurricanes. So who cares? You've just lived through one. So just another one. It feels really good, actually. To be honest, the Florida one. It feels amazing. So a card for everybody. And here we have the moon for everybody. So this is a general message, okay? And this is what's coming beyond. Look at this. And this is spiritual transformation. This is kind of just talking about all that I just talked about, talking about the astrology. Starting with this full moon on Sunday. The transformation available this December is just through the roof. Did you know that the scarab? I watch this rather nutty guy sometimes. I'm not going to talk about him. He is a bit insane in some ways, but some of his astrology and his study of the biblical connection to astrology is amazing. And the scarab is Christ consciousness. And remember, I talked about that with the Neptune in Pisces and particularly Chiron in Pisces. And when I say the true Christ consciousness, I mean the actual true message that the Bible was written about. It's nothing to do with a real man or anything like that. It's the actual message of peace, compassion, love, and it's the divine feminine. Okay, the moon. So that's a card for all of you. That's what we have coming in December. I get chills thinking about the whole month as well. So I am going to, those of you that would like to, I would like you to do I'm actually going to ask you to imagine a journey into, I've just lost something. That's funny. I'm actually going to ask you to journey to a number, to this number 11, to this gateway, to these opportunities that are opening up. For those of you that have not shamanic journeyed before, you just follow the energy. I want you to go to a middle world, which is basically this kind of another dimension in the world we're in. To mine is a big dome, like in the Truman, in Truman World Life, or whatever that movie's called. You know, the one with Jim Carrey. That big dome. This is my middle world, and it has Teletubbies in it and all kinds of magical things. So really just journey into a magical world and ask the number 11 what message it has for you this December, okay? And you will get an answer that you want, okay? Now, I'm not actually going to be here when I get back. I'm sorry if the call feels a little bit rushed, but my reading that I had before this, as I said, he was a bit late, and so it it all went a bit pear-shaped for me. But just enjoy this. Listen to the drumming and go where it takes you, and ask what you need to know for this December. Ask the Galactic Center what messages you need. This is your journey, and really, you know, it's non-ordinary reality. So you go where it takes you and get what messages it gives you related to this call about what you need to know for December, what you need to focus on, whatever questions you have. All right. So I'm going to get the drumming going. I won't be here at the end of the drumming because I have yet another call at 12 and I need to actually pee before it. So enjoy the journey. You can share in the group if you'd like to. Okay.